Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Sarah Jo. I'm the training coordinator for the Foundation Center San Francisco. And welcome to today's webinar, Messaging What Matters. And we're joined by Holly Minch from LightBox Collaborative. And before I take a second to introduce Holly, I just really want to say thanks again for joining us. This webinar will be recorded and posted to grantspace.org for future viewing, or if you want to share that information with a colleague. And I also want to just kind of give you the lay of the land for our session today. You can download the handouts in the upper left-hand corner. That'll include the presentation as well as a worksheet that Holly will reference in the session later on. And then you can also view this presentation full screen by just toggling to the full screen button in the upper right-hand corner of the PowerPoint presentation there. And then I know Holly is excited to take your questions throughout the presentation. So if you do have questions that come up for you as she's presenting, just feel free to go ahead and enter those in the Q&A box. And then there will also be some time at the end of the hour for your questions as well. And then aside from that, we're just really so excited that Holly and her team at LightBox Collaborative accepted our invitation to be our experts in residence for the month of November. And Experts in Residence is really the Foundation Center San Francisco's new program to connect nonprofit professionals with the expertise that you really need to effectively run your organizations. And so Holly and her team are our experts in residence on strategic communications for November. This is the second session of 3, and next week, next Thursday, the 21st at 10 a.m., I hope you all will join us live and in person at the Foundation Center San Francisco here in our Library Learning Center. I'm going to go ahead and post the link to that session. Let's see. There we go. So you have an idea of what's coming up next week. And again, that's Thursday at 10 a.m. And that is the title of this session is so awesome. Air Traffic Control, How to Guide Your Content from Ideation to Creation to Publication. So that'll be a live workshop with Holly in person here. So about Holly. Holly is the chief engineer at LightBox Collaborative. She spent her entire career helping do-getters do better. She's launched LightBox Collaborative to really harness fresh talent operating in an increasingly networked world. Together, the LightBox Collaborative really jumpstarts creative thinking, builds strategic clarity, sparks action to advance causes that matter, and she's really served as longtime communications counselor to fantastic institutions like the Evelyn and Walter Haas Jr. Fund and foundations really all across California, along with the Ms. Foundation for Women. So she's been honored by the Council on Foundations for Excellence in Public Policy Communications, and she was editor of Loud and Clear in an Election Year, a guidebook created to help nonprofits convey their messages in the crowded election environment. So she's a frequent speaker. Many of you have probably attended some of her workshops in the area or across the country, and I'm just so pleased to have Holly with us today. Thanks for being here, Holly. Take it away.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here and really looking forward to the presentation and the discussion this morning. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here. First of all, I wanted to say thanks also to all the 46 participants that we have on the line at the moment. So thanks to all of you for spending some time with us this morning as well. Given that there are so many folks, I believe the phone lines are muted, but I'm happy to take questions at any point. As Sarah just said, if you want to just type your questions into the Q&A box, I'm happy to pause what I'm saying and clarify or add any nuance if I can. So feel free to just chime in as we go. And also just want to really thank and appreciate the Foundation Center not only for inviting us to be experts in residence this month, but also for everything you do for the Bay Area community. We're really, really honored to be able to partner with you, so thank you for that. So I was asked to sort of, when Sarah Jo invited us to be the experts in residence for the month of November, she asked us, what do nonprofits really struggle with? What kind of things would be most useful in terms of what LightBox Collaborative is good at, and how can we share that with our audience? And I said, messaging is definitely one of the key pieces of the puzzle. I know some of you probably sat in on my colleague Amanda Cooper led a workshop last week around the communications game plan, and that was really around strategy. And I know she gave a little bit on messaging in that game plan, and I'm here today to kind of build on some of what she said. and also just really think about sort of what are some of the best principles around messaging that can help us be successful in effectively conveying our causes. So the title of this presentation is really around helping you not just, make a catchy message, but make meaning. And I think that's the most important thing to remember is that our audiences are really relying on us to help them make meaning of the world around them, right? Make meaning of our causes, help explain why it matters. And so the title is very much intentional. I think nonprofits are among the most important meaning makers in our society today. So I want to help you do that better. And that's really why I started LightBox Collaborative. We, as Sarah just said, we are an organization that serves nonprofits and philanthropies. We also do some work with social entrepreneurs. But we're really in the business of holding your good ideas up to the light to help you convey the work that you do in a way that is relevant and urgent, right? Many of you are working on very urgent causes, and you know that urgency is required to raise dollars. So we're helping raise both the urgency and the saliency of the issues you work on. And, as Sarah Jo mentioned, I've been doing this work for a very long time, about 15 years, and I've found that there are sort of four threads or four things that the most effective organizations and causes have in common. And the first of those four is clarity of goals. You have to know what you want if you're going to be able to get there. It sounds elementary, and yet we find that many organizations really struggle to define success. So that's why those of you who sat in on Amanda's session last week, the first element of the game plan that she taught is really around intention, right? Setting clear goals. The second ingredient in really standout causes that we've found over our time doing this work with nonprofits is that organizations that really shine have the ability to help people see things in a new light, whether that's information or perspective or helping people see something through new eyes, that you have to be able to sort of share information in a way that can help people connect to the idea and to the action you want them to take. The third element that we think really standout causes have in common is, may feel like a gimme in the nonprofit sector, right, that we have to be inspired to do this work. But to me, that means not just passion, but also purpose. And it means giving people something to not just, move their hearts or move their guts, but to also give them something meaningful to do with their hands. And to me, inspiration is really about getting people to go to work on behalf of the cause. And that's a key piece of the puzzle. The fourth and final ingredient, I think, of really standout causes is the hardest. And this one is really about having alignment in the organization, right? The insight that it takes to get all of the assets that your organizations have working together in the same direction to help you achieve your goals. And to me, this is sort of the component that comes around much of the internal work of communications, right? Aligning people on strategy, aligning people on the vision and the goals, and getting clear on why you want to say and do what you want to say and do. So these are the four components that we've found really characterize standout causes. And we think that when you put them all together, you get something that is more than the sum of its parts, right? When you really get these four elements working well together, you create impact. And that's what I think communications can help do. I do communications work because I think it is one of the most important, powerful tools that nonprofits have to help generate impact. And so that's, I really think communications is integral and critical to the work we all do to advance our missions and to further our causes. So I just want to sort of plant that flag and say that I think communications needs to come front and center in all of our work. And with that kind of bold declaration, I'm happy to delve into some of the messaging lessons that I've learned, in many cases the hard way, so that you don't have to. So what follows are just some big ideas about messaging and about some of the considerations we need to keep in mind as we craft a message strategy. And then I'll also have an exercise based on the handout that hopefully you've all downloaded in the upper left-hand corner, where you'll have a chance to craft some messages and maybe get some real-time feedback as we go. So the first principle might seem really straightforward, but the idea here is that we have to make our issues relevant to what people care about. And yet one of the biggest mistakes I see many nonprofit organizations make is the organization talks about what the organization cares about. So you may need to raise money to do capacity building work, but what I, as a donor, might be more interested in is why do you need those dollars? What difference will it make in the world, right? What's the impact and the outcomes that will be created as a result of the capacity you build or the computers you buy or the staff you hire, right? We tend a lot to talk about the things that matter to us in our organizations without really having a strong sense of how to make that relevant to our audiences sometimes, right? And the other thing that's really critical here is to remember that people don't come to our issues as a blank slate. People come to our issues with their own ideas and opinions about the world. And rather than try to ignore those or treat them like they aren't there or think we can change them instantly, we need to find ways to lean in to those values and concerns and ideas that people already have and build bridges to the issues that we care about and that we want to move. So start from where people are and figure out how to make your issue relevant from there. And we'll give some examples too. This is, as many folks know, I'm sure you've all seen this, the Apple Think Different campaign. And I always want to think about think different, such a powerful and bold statement. But I always imagine, what would this statement be like if it was written by a nonprofit organization, right? We would have had to use a lot more words, probably to have a lot less meaning. And so I want to encourage folks to really think about what is the idea, that the sentiment, the notion that you want to evoke, rather than the detailed narrative you need to present your issue in all its fullness, right? That sometimes you can use shortcuts to get to your idea. And I think sometimes nonprofits are a little bit hesitant. They feel like they have to unpack every single thing all the time. And I think, that we can sometimes take a page from others in the world and see how it's done. So I want you all in the Q&A box to type the first word that came to your mind when this logo appeared on your screen. If you would all please type the first word that came to your mind. Aha. I'm seeing one word pop up again and again and again, right? And that's the idea of safety. Volvo has really made an effort to own safety in the minds of their consumers, right? You might think that Volvo is in the business of selling you a car, but the truth is this organization is in the business of selling you on the idea of safety. The notion that this is a car that will keep your family safe, right? That the car itself is a means to an end, and the real value that they deliver on is safety. And so I want to encourage folks to really sort of take a lesson from that page, right? When people ask you, what does your organization do? Many of us fail to realize that what people are really asking is, what do you deliver on, right? What's the big idea you deliver on? The big idea that Volvo delivers on is safety. And the car with the dual-side airbags and the anti-lock brakes and the safety cage, those are all just means by which they deliver on safety. And I really want to invite folks to think about, what is it that your organization delivers, right? Capacity building and community organizing and public health clinic services. Those are all a means by which you deliver on the ultimate end, right, of your mission and the work you do. And so really want to encourage folks to think about, what's the big idea behind your organization? What's the big idea behind what you offer and what you deliver? And that can really be at the forefront of what you communicate. I also, I think this is a really critical idea that that the more we can think about how to message things in positive ways, the easier our jobs become, right? So this is an example from the American Cancer Society. Their logo is kind of small. You might not be able to see it. But, I mean, cancer doesn't have a lot of advocates, right? Like, there's nobody out there who's campaigning pro-cancer. But even the American Cancer Society, which has no opposition, some competition certainly from other health organizations in this space, but no opposition. Nobody is going, yay, cancer. Even they had to figure out a more positive way to get their message across because, cancer isn't necessarily something people want to think about. So what they did is they designed this campaign called More Birthdays. And this is a campaign where instead of talking about cancer, they actually get to talk about life. Right? They get to talk about celebrating milestones in your life. And the particular screenshot you're looking at is they've teamed up with a number of celebrities who will actually sing your friend. They'll sing happy birthday to your friend if you make a small donation to the American Cancer Society. So again, in honor of your friend's birthday, you give a gift to the American Cancer Society, and you get to celebrate more birthdays, and that's the gift you're helping to give your friend. So again, the way we can think about turning what we're fighting against into something we're fighting for becomes a really positive asset when it comes to messaging, right? Focus on what you're fighting for. Those affirming positive values are going to help you bridge to what people care about. They're going to help you bridge to the ideas that folks have about our causes. So I will tell you that this is real language that I took off of an actual nonprofit website. And I'm wondering if some of you out there are like quickly scanning your own websites right now thinking like, oh my gosh, was it ours? I think in general in the nonprofit sector, we are cursed with a ton of jargon. And I think sometimes people feel like, oh, we have to have that jargon because it helps us establish credibility, or it helps us, it makes us relevant to the foundations. And I will note that foundations themselves are also guilty, and sometimes they are both perpetrators and perpetuators here. But the idea that you can't talk to all of your audiences in the same way, right? For a foundation, you may need to be able, use language like this, but for someone who is a consumer of health services, or someone who is, somebody who wants to come and volunteer with your organization. I think that all too often our jargon gets in the way, right? The language we're using needs to invite people in, not be a brick wall that locks people out of our organizations. So really just want to encourage you to think about how you can scrub your language and scrub the dialogue you're engaging with people to make it relevant. So there's actually a tool that's been built, and Elaine, I'm seeing your question right now, and I'll come back to it in a moment. There's a tool that was built by a colleague of mine named Tony Procio, and Tony has written a series of books, and one of the books in the series is called Bad Words for Good, and it's a series of books that talk about how you can scrub your language for jargon and actually replace it. He has sort of like this tool set where if you're tempted to use a word that he considers jargon, he offers alternate ways to express that. So you can find the book Bad Words for Good by Tony Procio, and this is in your handout as well. So Ellen, I'm going to come back to your question, and for folks who are following the Q&A thread, not Ellen, Elaine. Elaine said she likes the notion of positive beats negative, but what's the evidence that it's effective, right? What about the truth that people remember what's negative? I actually think that what people remember is a story, right? I think that a lot of what I'm trying to convey is that we have to think about what are the stories that people carry about their issues in their mind, and what element of that story do we want to link to, right? Do we want to link to, the story about the bad experience or the negative thing they've had, or do we want to link to a more positive story, even if it's a story about what could be, right? A sense of hope. I actually think that this varies from cause to cause as well, right? Sometimes, yes, advocacy organizations, for example, sometimes they have an agenda that they're fighting against, and sometimes there are really good things we should be fighting against, right? We should be fighting against racism. We should be fighting against ignorance or bad grades in our schools or, poor-performing schools, whatever. There's a lot of things that we can be fighting against, but I think the more we can activate the hopeful, positive, aspirational stories that people hold about what they want for their families and communities, the more likely we are to engender the goodwill that will bring people to us, right, and get people involved in our causes. So that's my take on your question. And I'm, again, inviting other questions as we go if other folks want to chime in. Before we go to our exercise, because I actually am going to give you sort of a hands-on exercise, but I'll pause before I delve into that to see if anybody else has any questions that you want to chime in on. So I'm calling for questions, and maybe people are typing. Maybe they're not. I'm not seeing any other questions pop up. So I am going to move forward into the hands-on exercise. So if folks haven't downloaded the Mad Libs messaging worksheet, I would encourage you to do so now. And I see another question that has popped in. If there's a crisis like a flood, timely right now, then how do you not stress the negative? I think it's a great question, right? Like obviously when there's a natural disaster or when there's something really significant that has a negative effect on people, of course you're going to acknowledge that. But then you also want to quickly move to how is your organization working to remedy the negative situation, right? What are the positive values that call you to take action in this moment? What are your hopes for the people that you are helping? So I think it's not, telling the solutions story is the key that I'm trying to underscore, right? Helping people see how your organization is presenting a solution to a problem, not just focused on the problem. And Anda is thoughtfully pointing out for me that you guys can't see each other's questions. So that may be a special presenter feature, but I will try to repeat the questions as I go. Thank you, Anda, for that reminder. So with that, I am going to delve into the worksheet, and Sarah Jo is kindly reminding you to how to download those. So if you have questions, you can see her messages are popping up. And essentially what I'm going to do is sort of walk through an exercise that some colleagues and I use frequently to help you design sort of a high-level elevator speech for your organization. And some folks call these elevator speeches because, it's like how would you introduce your organization in an elevator ride. I often think of it as an introductory message, right? If you were at a conference or a cocktail party and you needed to briefly introduce someone to your organization, this is the kind of message you might use. So, and again, we're going to use a Mad Libs format, and you have the format in that handout. Does anybody, hopefully everybody knows what Mad Libs are. They're sort of this funny fill-in-the-blank word game that I know I enjoyed playing as a kid, and maybe some of you have kids at home that enjoy playing it as well. But essentially, it's giving you a fill-in-the-blank format to help you create this introductory message for your organization. And so here it is, really pretty simple, right? Our organization believes some strongly held value, and every day we do something on behalf of somebody because there's a problem or in order to achieve a solution, right? So that's the basic format. And you see that there's two ways to do that final clause, right? You can focus on a problem or you can focus on a solution. And so I want to actually encourage folks, if you're willing, to start to type your own version of this into the chat box, into the Q&A box. I'll give you a sample, But really what I'd love to do with our time here together is essentially have you use this format. And then if you want to type it into the chat box, I'll try to help you do some extreme makeover. So you actually walk out of the webinar today with a message for your organization, an introductory message. So here's a sample from an organization we worked with locally who used that same format to essentially come up with this elevator pitch. They opened with a fact. They opened with a story, essentially, right? For babies born in Alameda County today, there's a 13-year difference in life expectancy depending on their zip code, right? And here's where we get into the solution. We can't accept it, but we can change it. LightBox Collaborative, and this is really their basic introductory message, brings together people with the ideas, the connections, and the skills we need to create conditions where every child in every neighborhood can thrive. And so it's really that last piece that starts with the name of the organization that I'm asking you all to type in. And so I'm going to go back to that format and invite people to come up with your elevator message and chat it to us if you can. Aha, I'm seeing one pop up, I think. Aha, okay, so this one's from Laura Sargent. And Laura, I'm going to go ahead and read your sample aloud, okay? So Laura Sargent says, Alameda Health System Foundation believes in quality health care for all. Every day, we strive to decrease health disparities on behalf of all Alameda County residents because our services are there in their time of need. So I want to encourage everybody who was maybe listening to Laura to type into to Laura's message, to type into the chat box again, what was memorable about that? What stuck out for you about that? And again, I'll read it aloud again. Alameda Health System Foundation believes in quality health care for all. Every day, we strive to decrease the health disparities on behalf of all Alameda County residents because our services are there in their time of need. What's memorable? What stuck out for folks about that? And Sarah Jo, I will confess, having a little bit of trouble with this pod since it moved.
Sure. I went ahead and moved it over so I can easily share what people are saying.
Beautiful.
With everyone.
Got it.
So, yeah.
Great. Good. Okay, so I have some feedback from folks who are sharing what stuck out for them, Laura, about your message. So let me kind of scroll down here, right? So from the time of need was a phrase that stuck out for several people. The notion of several people said they liked the notion of decreasing health disparities, right? Some people said they liked the focus. But again, as I am scanning through the comments, this phrase of time of need seems to be a recurring theme. And I think that that's a really powerful idea that you've managed to evoke, right? I think that one of the reasons that's sticking out for people is because it is evocative, right? We've all had a time of need, or we've all sort of been in a situation where we needed a little help. And it's that emotional content that sticks out. And I also think if there's a way that we can talk about reducing health disparities in a way that I know that that's meaningful language in the field, right? So that might be appropriate language for some audiences. I'm wondering if we can use language that's something that flips it around, right? So instead of reducing health disparities, could we, for example, say, we work to make sure everyone has the health care they need, right? It's a little more plain spoken, I think offers the same spirit. So that's just that is just my quick response to that particular exercise. Now I am looking down, and I think Teresa was the next was the next person who put her elevator speech in the Q&A for us to look at. So I'm going to go ahead. I think Sarah Jo is sharing that out to everybody, but I'll just read it aloud. Every day in our community, frail elders are left uncared for, while their caregivers must work to survive. We at the Center for Elders Independence provide the services to keep our community elders safe at home and their caregivers peace of mind while they are away at work. Again, I think we've got some really strong samples here, right? Every day, we give people safety and peace of mind. These are incredibly strong promises that you're delivering on. I think that's exactly the kind of example to point to. What I would ask Teresa is, what is the strong statement of belief, right, that calls the Elders Independence Center to do this, right? What is the value that drives you to do this? And so that might just be one thing that could help tweak it and strengthen it, but that's just the option or an idea to help strengthen it. And it looks like Sarah Jo has gone ahead and shared all of the feedback that's coming into the comment box with everybody, just so you can all see kind of how people are chiming in and what their reactions are as we look at these. So I'm going to go ahead and go to before I switch, I'm going to just point out Monica's comment, right, that we can talk about how we increase health equity, right, as opposed to decrease health disparities. So those are just a couple ideas to help people to see that and to help people really connect with the ideas and the language. So thanks, everybody, for how you're chiming in. Here's an excellent suggestion from Lenore on sort of the strong statement of belief, right? We believe that all seniors deserve to age with dignity. Beautiful, right? Really graceful stuff. So I am going to quickly scroll back up, and I think the next person to submit their introductory message in the queue was Trish. And Trish has said that the Asian and Pacific Islander American Health Forum believes that everyone deserves access to quality health care. Every day we advocate and influence policy on behalf of Asian Americans, Native Americans, and Pacific Islanders to ensure healthy and vibrant communities across the nation. Wow, Trish has got a handful in the name of her organization alone. There's a lot of ideas that we're trying to carry across here. And one of the things I want to hone in on is that you've got sort of some of the how you work. Every day we advocate and influence policy. I feel like those are statements of how your organization works. Those are process statements, and I'm wondering if we can switch that to be more about outcomes, right? I wonder if there's even a way to simply say, every day we ensure healthy and vibrant communities across the nation for Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders, right? We might even flip the statement as you have it here. And so I think that's, again, a strong start, and we want to take out as much of the process language. That can come later, right? But we really want to move this to something that helps people sort of get a grasp on it. And the other thing I would ask, Tricia, for your statement is, what's the strong statement of belief that calls you to focus on Asian and Pacific Islander communities in particular, right? If everyone deserves access to quality health care, then how come you serve a specific constituency? And so if there's a way that we can kind of hone in on linking those two concepts together, that might be another way to help people really hone in and differentiate your organization from others in the space, or to really understand how and why you work specifically. Okay, I think the next person in the queue is JVS, Stephanie. Stephanie writes that JVS believes our whole community benefits when more people are working. Every day, we help people build skills and connections because people deserve to live good lives and earn a living. I love this statement of belief. right? We believe our whole community benefits when more people are working. Incredibly strong statement of belief. Really simple, really straightforward. Every day we help people build skills and connections. Right, great, really straightforward language. Because people deserve to live good lives and earn a good living. I feel like we got wordy here at the end. What if we said something like, every day we help people build skills and connections because people want to earn a living, because a good living means a good life, right? So if there's a way to sort of tie those two ideas together a little bit more concisely, I think that might strengthen it. The other question I would have is, I met Stephanie at a cocktail party and she introduced her organization with this elevator speech. I would say, my God, this organization is incredible. What is this organization again? Right? I want to encourage everybody to always, always, always say the full name of your organization, right? Don't abbreviate JVS, because I don't know what JVS is, right? That's alphabet soup. And I think really often our organizations, we sort of forget that not everybody knows the ins and outs, and not everybody knows sort of the sector or the other organizations in our space as well as we do. And so I really want to encourage everybody to say the full name of your organization. Use the full statement of who you are. Often your names are these really powerful tools that convey a lot of meaning about your organization, but when we shorten them, we don't get that meaning, right? We just get a lot of alphabet soup. So those are my points of feedback on the message from JVS. But Stephanie, that was really strong. Thank you. And Sarah is pointing out that I have missed a question in the queue. So I'm going to scroll back up, and oh, hey, look at that. It's from Monica Alatorre from Envision Education. Monica actually was back up in the queue. She submitted the following statement. Envision Education believes in educational equity. Every day we work in schools and with teachers on behalf of underserved students and families in order to help young people prepare for and succeed in college, career, and life. Love where this ends. I love where this ends. So strong. Monica, I would ask the question, what does educational equity mean? I think that's one of those statements. Envision Education believes in educational equity. I wonder if there's a way we can kind of translate that and make that even more plain spoken, right? We believe in a fair education for every student. We believe in, however you would translate educational equity, but I think that's a phrase that has a lot of meaning in the sector and might not elsewhere. Every day we work in schools and with teachers on behalf of underserved family and students in order to help young people prepare for and succeed in college, career, and life. I think I might even cut the middle of this sentence, right? What if it simply read, every day we help young people prepare for and succeed in college, career, and life? I think there's a lot, sometimes some of this gets in the way of really the most powerful stuff you want to say, right? So get it that you work in schools and teachers, get it that you work on behalf of underserved schools and families, but you might even be able to trim your introductory message just to get to that really powerful idea that you have about the impact that your work delivers. I think it's incredibly strong. Thank you very much, Monica, for that great entry. Okay, I am going to scroll down here and see if we can, and I love that you guys are also giving each other hints and ideas about how to tweak some of these. I love that. I am seeing Robert Poole's entry from the SF Hack. Oh, Robert, you know what I'm going to say about that. The SF Hack. The SF Hack, I believe, I'm guessing that's probably the Housing Action Coalition, believes San Francisco should have housing options for all income levels. Every day, we advocate for the production of new homes on behalf of all San Franciscans because there's a severe shortage of housing in this city that has contributed to an affordability crisis. again, some really strong ideas and really strong language. I'm totally behind the notion of calling this about a housing crisis. I also love the really plain-spoken way that you've talked about San Francisco should have housing options for all income levels, right? That's a really clear statement, strong statement of belief, plainly said, really strong. Every day we advocate for the production of new homes. That is a phrase that I don't know that I would have used in conversation, right? So that's another thing to think about is how are our messages going to sound in everyday conversation, right? I don't necessarily think of the production of new homes. I think of building new homes. So that's just one sort of thinking, one sort of train of thought that I was having looking at this. And then the other thing I would encourage you to think about, a severe shortage of housing in the city that has contributed to an affordability crisis. I'm wondering if there's a way we can kind of, again, combine those two thoughts, right? Because the city's severe shortage of housing means an affordability. I just wonder if there's a way to sort of tweak that and make that a little tighter and mush those two ideas together, right? Because the city's affordability crisis is a direct result of the severe shortage of housing, right? If there's a way to sort of combine those together, that might be another way to tighten it up and make that work. So I'm going to invite Sarah Jo, actually, if there's anything else from the comments thread. I feel like I've been scrolling up, higher up in the comments thread, or in the questions, and if there's anything, as people are reacting in real time, that you want to speak to or point out, you should feel free to do so, because I'm tracking the top, and I think you're probably doing a better job of tracking the ongoing dialogue. So is there anything we want to chime in with at this point? Oh, I missed one. No, Lucy, I see you. I'm coming back for you. I'm coming back for you. There's actually a queue, and there are a few in the queue ahead of you, Lucy, but I'm coming for you. The next one in the queue that I'm seeing is Keely Monroe. Keely Monroe from Law Students for Reproductive Justice. And so here is what she had to say. Law Students for Reproductive Justice believes that all people have the right to decide when, whether, and how to have and parent children with dignity. Every day, we train and mobilize law students and new lawyers to understand and advocate on these rights on behalf of women and families across the country. In order to, oh shoot, I just scrolled down and missed it. Here we go. In order to make these rights a reality. So Keely, a lot of good stuff there. Dare I say, maybe even too much good stuff there. I wonder if we could trim it a little bit. So I think there's some extra clauses here, right? So what if we just trimmed it so it said, Law Students for Reproductive Justice believes that all people have the right to decide when, whether, and how to have and parent children. Punto. Every day, we make this right a reality. Right? I wonder if we could just go straight to the notion of making rights real. Again, because I think train and mobilize law students and lawyers to understand and advocate on behalf of, I think there's a lot there that is getting in the way, again, of that really powerful closing statement you have, that really powerful idea of, you know, we have a strong statement of belief that everybody should be able to make the call, and we work every day to make that right real. So I think that's a really strong entry, and it just needs to be tightened up. Okay, I am scrolling. Is New Sprouts the next one?
Yeah.
I think it is. Audrey, here we go. Okay, so Audrey says, New Sprouts Chinese School believes language is a living link to culture. We deliver Mandarin language classes to toddler and elementary age children so they can be those living links. Oh, this is lovely. I love this. I think the notion of language as a living link to culture is wonderful. And I would, there's a lot of alliteration in there. I'm wondering if there's a way to tweak it just very, very slightly, right? New Sprouts Chinese School believes language is a link to culture. We deliver Mandarin language classes to toddler and elementary age children so they can live those links. So something like that, just again, but you've got like pure poetry here. And I'm just kind of playing with it a little bit, but I really think this is a very strong, strong example. Thank you, Audrey. That's fabulous. Let's see, who's next? I think it's Kenyatta College. So Lucy Salcedo Carter, I'm coming for you. I'm going to share your example now. Kenyatta College believes that everyone should have access to a college education. Every day, we engage community college students in learning so they gain the skills and knowledge to have the lives they want. Really powerful, right? The notion of gaining the skills to pursue their own aspirations and dreams. Really, really powerful, evocative, emotional idea. I guess my question for you, Lucy, would be, what's the differentiator for Kenyatta College, right? What makes Kenyatta College unique in delivering what you do or how you do it? That would be the one thing I would want to see more of in this space. So I think maybe that's geography, maybe that's a certain constituency you serve. So that would be my suggestion, is to think about how you can differentiate a little bit. Okay, I am scrolling to find our next entry, and that is, I'm working on it. I'm trying to find you. Okay, here we go. So this is from VSI, and the strong statement of belief that Virali from VSI has offered up is, VSI believes that women and girls deserve the same access to life-saving medicines regardless of where they live. Every day, we push health leaders and workers to change their policies and practices on behalf of women and girls in developing countries. Extremely strong. I really like this. I like the idea that that it's so plain spoken, right? We deserve the same access to life-saving medicine no matter where we live. Incredibly strong statement of belief. And I also like the idea, I like the idea that she's described advocacy without using the word, right? Every day we push health leaders and workers to change their policies and practices, right? So really great example of translating the nonprofit jargon into plain spoken language without losing any of the meaning. Really strong. Great example. Thank you. Okay, now I am rolling down and looking at, I think Scholar Match is next. Let's see, am I correct about that? No, I am not.
Tara Roberts.
Tara Roberts. Is that the one? No. Yes, there it is. Aha, here we go. Tara Roberts. Research shows that there's a huge connection between a calm mind and a healthy body. PMC believes that meditation is a tool anyone can use at any time to create joy, flexibility, and compassion in their lives. Every week, Padmasambha, I don't know if I've got that right in terms of the pronunciation, every week, Padmasambha Meditation Center provides a place online and a place in Denver, Colorado for people to learn to meditate. Because, sorry, I've lost it. Sarah, can you read the rest? I'm sorry, I'm just not able to.
Because we can turn all learn to transform the stress we suffer without the happiness we yearn for.
Wow, there's like a lot of big ideas in this one. I think part of my suggestion to you, Tara, would be to really think about your audience, and you might actually be able to tailor it, right, based on what you know your audience wants, right? The notion that there's a connection between a calm mind and a healthy body, right? Great, really straightforward example. I also like the idea that, meditation is a tool that anyone can use at any time. And then it starts to get into what are people's motivations for engaging with you, right? So are people in it because they want a calm mind and a healthy body? Are they in it because they want joy, flexibility, and compassion in their lives? Are they in it because they want to transform stress? So those are just some questions I would have about how can you hone in on the motivator that's really going to be most meaningful for the folks you're engaging with. And you may actually have a slightly different version of your elevator speech or a slightly different version of your introductory message based on the motivator that folks bring to the table. So that's my thought or my question. I think there's some trimming to do here to really hone and tighten this message. But I love the notion of transforming the stress we suffer into the happiness we yearn for. I think that's incredibly strong language. And it's also, I just love the notion, too, of like transformation and how to take something negative and turn it into a positive. So I think that's a great example. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, now am I going to Scholar Match? Is that Selena? Is that the next one?
Yes.
Great. Scholar Match believes that college students should be Scholar Match believes that college should be possible for all students. Every day we work as advocates for low-income students, connecting them to resources because we believe in their potential. Wow, really powerful. I love the plain spoken language. Again, college should be possible for all students. And again, I want to translate some of this jargon, right? What if we simply said every day we connect low-income students to resources because we believe in their potential? And I feel like that needs a little more because we believe in their potential to succeed. We believe in their potential to excel, right? Like whatever, I think their potential to what? Just to kind of point to a bigger idea there. But I, again, really love the plain spoken language about what's possible. I love the idea of, really simple what we do every day. We connect them to resources because we believe in them. Really great example. Thank you, Selena. Really strong.
Selena had a follow-up question I shared with everyone. How does this connect to the mission vision statement, and when should it be used instead?
Great question. Fantastic question. So one thing that I know from doing my work with fair share of boards of directors is that often the mission statement was written by committee. And often the mission statement, while accurate and important and a true sort of compass for your organization, it's often really bloodless in terms of the language. So many times we find that organizations need an introductory message that almost helps to translate the mission statement and translate the idea behind kind of the vision of the organization into language that folks can find accessible and understandable. So that's definitely not a substitute for your mission or vision, but sometimes it can serve to help people understand the organization a little more clearly than a mission or vision statement can. Great question. Okay, I'm going to go next. And Sarah Jo, I just want to check in. Should I just kind of keep going for it, or do we want to stop and take broader sort of theoretical questions?
It's up to you. I'm seeing a handful of more statements that have been posted. Okay. How much presentation do you have left, or how many slides? Because that would help determine the...
Yeah, not very much.
Okay, then Mary says, no, keep going. So I think if we can share these other statements that are in at this point, that would be
great.
Good. Yeah.
Good. Okay. So from Maria, we have self-esteem. And she says, at Surf-Esteem, we believe that an empowered society begins with empowered youth. Every day, we deliver life-changing, experiential, and curriculum-based programs through surfing and mindfulness training on behalf of underserved teenage girls because. Wow. Okay, this sounds like the coolest program, and yet the language here is super jargony. So I want to sort of play with this one a little bit and say, so I don't know the organization at all. This is literally the first time I've heard of it, but I'm going to just kind of play with this idea, right? At Surf-Esteem, we believe that a strong society starts with strong girls. And every day we deliver life-changing training and experiences, life-changing learning and experiences, because we want to help all young girls surf their way toward their full potential, right, or ride the wave of their own potential. I just think there's some really great metaphors here that Surf Esteem could use about how to sort of take the content of what you do and paint a visual picture of a young girl sort of really succeeding. Sort of using that metaphor, I think, could be really powerful. So hopefully that's helpful. Let's see. I am scrolling down to our next one. And Sarah Jo, it's really helpful if you see other folks chiming in. Please continue to give us the real-time comments. That's really helpful. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. So I think Lisa Owens from the Coral Reef Alliance is next. The Coral Reef Alliance believes that reefs are essential to the health of our oceans and to the people who rely on them for food and to make a living. Every day, we work with local organizations to find solutions to the problems threatening reefs, because we all need a healthy, thriving ocean. Thank you, Lisa. This is another great example of a really strong, there's a lot of really strong ideas here, right? So coral reefs are essential to the health of our oceans and to the people who rely on them for food and to make a living. I feel like we can tighten this up a little bit, right? The Coral Reef Alliance, in fact, this isn't even a statement of belief. I think this is a statement of fact, right? Scientifically, reefs are essential to the health of our planet, and they're essential to the health of our people. So I'm wondering if there's a way to kind of tighten that up. And every day we work with local people to find solutions to the problems threatening reefs. I love that, right? Like, that's a great way to say you're describing a huge, broad range of programs, right? I'm sure you have a ton of stuff you do. But what I like about this is that you actually pointed to the way you work, right? You pointed to a value about how the organization works. Every day we work with local people to find solutions to the problem. So you're really threading those folks into your work in a way that says a lot about the organization's collaborative nature and how you work with people all around the world, right, which I bet is a huge, wide range of different programs. So I just think that's a great example of how to take something that's quite complex and large and say it in a really plain-spoken way. So I really like that. I really like that. Okay, and I'm scrolling back up, and I think I've missed one. So Anda Quo, I'm not sure if I've got your name right, but Anda is with Pediatric Leadership for the Underserved. And Pediatric Leadership for the Underserved believes that all children deserve an opportunity to live healthy and fulfilled lives. Every day, we train pediatric leaders to drive change for vulnerable children and their families. I love this, right? We train pediatric leaders to drive change for vulnerable children and their families. Really, like no statement about underserved, but vulnerable is a really evocative, strong word. The truth is, I don't know what a pediatric leader is, right? So let's think about how we can translate that. Is that a doctor? Is that a nurse? Is that a teacher? I need more clarity on what a pediatric leader is, and that might help people make a little bit more meaning out of the name of the organization, right? Pediatric Leadership for the Underserved. So really, it's evocative. I know what leadership is, but I don't know what a pediatric leader is. So that might just be one thing I'd want to translate a little bit. And unfortunately, I am out of time. So I'm going to just sort of quickly wrap up with my last thought, right? So you guys have submitted a ton of amazing examples and ideas in how to do this well, right, and how to do a quick introductory message for your organization. And sort of the thought that I want to leave you with is that these introductory messages kind of have to combine all of these four elements, right? You have to have a clear goal about what you want people to understand. You have to be able to inspire and shed new light on the work that your organization does. And you have to work, once you agree on a final elevator pitch or a final introductory message, you actually want to align everyone in your organization to use it, because that's when it's going to have the most impact, right? When there's a consistent way of talking about the organization. So that's my hope of what I hope we've been able to achieve here today. And I just want to thank everybody for being here. And with that, I'll turn it back to Sarah Jo.